Hello, everybody. It is Joe Ducey with Let Joe Know on ABC 15 and producer Courtney,
Hi.
who is back after being off last week. Every Thursday, 12:30, we're here talking about various consumer topics. And one that's kind of interesting for us right now is about dog attacks, and dog bites, and liability. And if you've got an animal, you probably, well, maybe you never thought of this. I don't know. Until something happens to you. That seems to be the way it happens. We get people who write us and say that their dog was attacked, they were attacked, they had their dog on a leash, there are some loose dogs around and they were, they came in. And so what are your rights? Have you had an incident like this? Have you had loose dogs in your area? Have you been concerned about that? Have you tried to get something done about it? Have you contacted animal control? Have you had to go through all of this?
Have you gotten bitten before?
Have you been
What
bitten?
happened afterwards? We're working on that, a story. Actually, we're doing a story tonight about the process that this woman went through after she was bitten and couldn't find out who owned the dogs.
Yeah.
Everyone knew but her, everyone being, the county. And
Yeah, tonight at 6 on ABC 15, we're going to talk to her. We're going to talk about animal control. So if you've got a question or you know of somebody who had this, if you can share this with them. I had an incident. We're trying to get as many people as we can to post so that other people can see what happened, and maybe we could talk a little bit about, what are your rights? And maybe you had a dog that, we had a dog, and we're going to some of these stories, that escaped and went across and didn't bite, but came close, and what is my liability for that?
when my dog almost bit your hand off, what was my liability for that?
Okay. Now
According
here's the deal on that
to the
one.
law, I would have probably been liable.
I was a fool on that one, okay?
Unless you provoked him.
Yeah. So she's got this nice little dog.
He's just the
Right.
cutest.
What's his name? Butch or
Simon.
huh?
His name is not Bush.
Lucifer? Something like that. Something close to that anyway. Anyway, the dog is there. You got, which it's good. I'm glad you have the dog, okay? But it's got a gate and all that. And I did a stupid thing. The dog's tail's wagging and all that stuff. And I put my hand through.
His tail was not wagging.
It was wagging because there were other people around there. Anyway, tail was wagging. And so I felt comfortable and I stuck my hand in the gate. And boy, that tail, he was like, I was like, okay. Pull that hand out. You see how quickly I am though? My reflexes?
Yes.
See?
And
Like-
something was telling me to tell you, move your hand. And as I was about to say it,
Oh yeah, right.
I'm so serious.
You delayed.
I saw that coming.
You wanted to see what was going on. Anyway, so if you've had incidents where you've thought about this, so you brought your dog to a dog park and another dog comes up, and we've had that incident before with my dog. I think before, what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the story tonight? Let's talk about what happened with Mary.
Well, we don't want to give it all.
Well,
but
come on.
she and her dog were attacked by a couple of dogs. She was just going to the mailbox, and her dog ended up passing away. She was injured, and she could not find out who owned the dogs. In Maricopa County, in the state, you have to, if you own a dog and it attacks someone, there's no gray about it. You are liable.
You were liable for it.
But that's only if you can find out who they are.
Well, see, that's a problem. I mean, there are these laws that don't force them to have to disclose certain information. So
Right.
you can have contact information.
People have a right to privacy.
Right.
Which, I mean, is great.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to figure out, who attacked you and your dog, or
Yeah.
whose dog attacked you and your dog.
Right. So that's what you want to know. Jonathan, thank you for being here. Arizona imposes, I'm going to read from this, what you should do after a dog bite in Arizona. Arizona imposes strict liability on dog owners for dog bites, meaning dog owners must pay for any damage resulting from dog bites, regardless of whether the dog owner was negligent or the dog has previously shown any propensity toward biting. Whereas in many states, dogs get one free bite, which I didn't know.
One free bite
rule?
One chunk of Joe.
Yeah. Before the dog owner is considered to be on notice that the dog bites and therefore can be held liable for damage caused by a dog bite. This is not the case in Arizona. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you don't have to know that the dog had a history of this before. Dog's owner only has a valid defense against a dog bite claim if the dog bite victim provokes the dog. Now, see, here's a lot of this is though. A lot of people, we weren't there, so I don't really know what happened. It's kind of this person saying against what this person said. So there was no police officer there. I mean, my dog was provoked. No, my dog didn't provoke your dog. I mean,
unless the person who was there is the person that was attacked. So I guess you have to take their word for it.
Yeah, but did the other dog provoke the attack? I mean, no, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you prove that otherwise.
Yeah.
Maricopa County requires residents to report all dog bites to Maricopa County Animal Control and Care and Control. When a dog bite occurs, a dog should be confined if possible, and it goes into all those things. But yeah, there are some strict rules about that. By law, any dog reported for biting must be quarantined for 10 days. If the county deems it safe, the dog may be quarantined in the owner's home, and they remove the quarantine. It'll be released after 10 days upon the owner's payment of the quarantine costs. So it's always about,
It's
always a little bit
about
about money,
money,
right?
yep.
Yeah, always about money. Yeah, we had an incident where I think anybody, if you're on our Facebook page, on Let Joe Know Facebook page, maybe you know this, but we have a dog, we have a collie, and we were walking, and my wife and I were walking our dog on a leash through a park nearby, and all of a sudden, we kind of noticed in the back there was, a guy playing with the dog, and the dog was off the leash. I never liked that. Okay, I don't like when dogs are off leashes because they could turn.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm obeying the law. Why can't these people?
Yeah.
And so the dog's over here. All of a sudden, we see this. It's a part German Shepherd, part bull, or whatever it is. But anyway,
How do you tell that?
Well, because it came close.
Oh.
Do you want to finish my story, or you want me to tell it in the exciting way that I tell stories? Little drama here. So anyway, so our faces were. Want to see our faces? They were terror. Yeah. And as we turn around and we see gallivanting, across this field, this dog, and the owner yelling, Fritz, whatever the dog is, Fritz, get back, Fritz, come back, come back, yelling frantically. And I'm thinking, what's this dog gonna do to us? So I've got this big dog here. Our dog just kind of standing there. He comes right up to us. I grab my dog and I pick him up like this, and the dog, he kind of nips a little bit trying to get my dog's foot, but doesn't get us. It doesn't get in. By that time, the other owner had come up.
Thank
So the other
goodness.
owner, but here's the thing. I'm saying, get your dog on a leash.
Right.
I was just trying to train him over here.
Well, do it in
You
your
don't train your
backyard.
dog in a park where there are other people.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the training part of this, but you have to go in an area where there's nobody around. Because, what could have happened there? That could have been a really dangerous situation
It
if
really
you hadn't come
could've.
back.
It really
I
could've.
could have been, this woman was attacked that way. I could see how these things happen, And my dog isn't the kind that's going to go back and bite back. So I think
Sedona is a
my
lover,
dog
not a fighter.
would have been dinner.
So
Big
we actually
dinner.
have a question about leash laws. Becky Garner, is there a leash law? If so, can the owners be cited if their dog bites off a leash in public? Leash laws are, I believe they are city by city.
Yeah.
And I am fairly certain that just about everybody has one. I know City of Phoenix does. And that's one of those things where, if you're not caught, you don't get in trouble. We have laws against, speeding, but if you're not caught speeding, then you won't get the ticket. So I guess you kind of have to, I hate telling people to go tell on people, but
Yeah.
the fact is you could be endangering people. No matter how nice and sweet and loving you think your dog is with you, that doesn't mean that they're that way with other people or other dogs.
Yeah.
Particularly if this is not a dog that you've had, since birth, so
Right.
you don't know what experience the dog has had.
And I want to apologize, and for anybody who's just coming in here, we did have an attorney lined up who knows about these things and attack, who's going to help us out, help answer your questions, and the guy canceled at the last minute, and we weren't able to get a replacement, so I apologize for that, but we're going to do the best we can, and we hope that maybe you know somebody who knows something about these things, and they can help post and answer some of the questions that I know a lot of you are going to have, and possibly we can get another person to answer some of these questions later.
Yeah.
But we're trying to replace that person and haven't been able to. So, so has your dog attacked another dog? Have you had your dog off a leash? Have you seen other dogs in the neighborhood and tried to get something done about it? That's a concern of a woman who wrote me just last year. She says, my mom is totally disabled. Her dog companion was attacked by a neighbor's pit bull in August. The pit bull is still living in the community. The dog has attacked before and has charged at several dogs in the neighborhood. Animal control has been no help. Really. Management company and HOA have now declined to discuss on advice of counsel. So now there's an attorney involved. We are scared the next victim will be a person. Several neighbors are scared and concerned. We want the dog relocated. It's clearly a threat. The residence is a patio home, and they only have a 3-foot high fence. My mom's dog had to have the front leg amputated. That's
Wow.
really sad. But yeah, in that case, what do you do?
Well, there's
I mean,
something called a vicious, I believe it's vicious animal petition, which you can file it within your city, or you can go to the justice court where you live and file it there. It's a form where you, just turn down. You can fill it out.
you
Particularly,
sound great though.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Particularly if you know where the dog lives, you know who owns the dog. If you have all of that, you can go to your city or go to the justice court in your area and file a vicious animal petition. And that's when the courts get involved, and the courts then decide, because courts decide whether or not dogs are vicious.
Right.
And you get to bring all your evidence, your mom's dog, your neighbors, all the people who are scared of this animal, and then the owner gets to bring their evidence and say, well, no, my dog isn't vicious.
Right.
You know, your dog wandered into my yard or whatever. And that's how you start that process. So it's called a vicious animal petition. You can get the form from your justice court. This is not superior court. This is not, like criminal cases and things. This is where you go if you get, like a minor ticket or small claims court. This is that court where you go.
And one of the great things about some of these online, blogs, like I don't know, do you have Nextdoor in your neighborhood? Something online that you can go into and you can comment from neighbors, you can comment about other neighbors, and usually, I saw a coyote down here, but it's a good way, if you did see a dog like that, to ask if there are other people who've had incidents with that dog.
Right.
And that can build your case for you. Or is there a dog you need to be aware of that's off a leash in a certain area? Anthony Elliott, thanks for joining us. Aren't people required to register their dogs in Maricopa County? And if you're bitten, can you get access to the owner information?
Good
Yes
question.
and no. Yeah, you have to register your dog in Maricopa County,
Right.
which is a small little payment, and they get the tag and all. But if you're bitten, can you get access to the owner's information? What would you say?
You can, but it's going to be a process. If you don't
Well-
know who this dog is, and you don't know who owns this dog, you have to, and this is one of the questions that we answer in the story today, you either need to have law enforcement contact animal control on your behalf, which can be a challenge, but have them contact animal control on your behalf so that they can get an unredacted copy of the animal bite report. So when you are bitten or whatever, everybody's screaming and yelling and calling 911 and all that. And eventually animal control gets involved and they have a bite report. That's what you want, the bite report. And you want an unredacted copy. Otherwise, you're just going to get a whole bunch of blacked out stuff.
Well, yeah, but can you just request an unredacted copy? No. You have to go through.
I suppose you could request one,
Right.
but they won't
They
give
won't
it to
give
you.
it to
So you need to either go through the law enforcement, whoever if Phoenix Police came out, if Glendale Police came out, ask the detective or whoever it is that worked on your case to request that on your behalf, an unredacted copy, or you got to file a subpoena.
Okay. Yeah. So in other words, it's not an easy process,
is
and
not
no,
an
you don't
easy
just get entitled to it. I think it should be a law though, where you get contact information, because if they're not going to do anything for you, then you have to do something for yourself. But if you don't have the information in order to do that, then it doesn't matter.
I think there should be a trigger where the county is required to provide there needs to be like a court case set up. It should be an automatic thing where if someone's dog bites them, regardless of whether they were vicious, not vicious, whatever, there needs to be an examination within the court system of, okay, what's the deal with this dog and where is liability here? Because if your dog dies, if the onus is on you to track down who owns the dog and bring something in court. That should be something that's automatic. It should be a trigger.
You don't talk about, but all the expenses that go along with that, and
Yeah.
the damage done to you and to your arm or with this woman's arm, Mary.
Exactly.
Some people are weighing in about. I thought this might be Ace and Sita. I guess this is serious. I thought, man, interesting. Hello. So my dog bit my snake, which turned around and bit my dog. It just turned into a bite battle. Who does more damage? I don't know what to do or who I should put down, the dog or the snake. And I just think it's interesting because Mike said, put the snake down. The dog was only trying to protect you.
That's
Okay,
probably
so
true.
I'm sorry if it's serious and I'm laughing here, but man, that's a situation, man. The,
I
the
know.
snake and the
And
dog.
how
What other
did the
animals do you have in
dog-
your house?
How'd the dog
think
get
I'd
access
remove
to the
teeth.
snake? Like, did the dog get? Where do you keep the snake? Did the dog?
Did the dog get up into a
get into the aquarium thingy
yeah.
where the snake was? Like, how did that work?
Yeah. So Mike says put the snake down. Everybody's voting on it. Joanne Allen, what to do if dogs try and jump the fence? Luckily, my neighbor put up more blocks. Now worried about new neighbors in back. Ooh, it went away. New neighbors in back. I don't trust leaving my small dogs out there in your. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. In fact, my wife's got this fear of coyote in our area. We got an 8-9 foot wall. I said, there's no way a coyote's going to jump up over an
And
8
you,
foot
like,
wall.
don't
So then-
live out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like
You guys have coyotes?
yeah, we have coyotes. But yeah, I mean that's a real concern, and I think that the problem with that is though, do you wait until something happens? That's what a lot of times when law enforcement acts. When
Oh,
something happens,
yeah.
not preemptively, which you would do in this case. I mean, who knows about these dogs? But yeah, you don't want something to happen. So that's a tough situation, Joanne. Let's see. Well, luckily my neighbor put up more blocks. Now worried about new neighbors in the back. I don't trust leaving my small dogs up there. Maybe it's a conversation with them. I don't know if that's the kind of neighbor they are.
Yeah.
A conversation about your concerns, and maybe you'll get a better feel for their dogs after a period of time. So keep your dogs in and then allow them out after you see if they're not aggressive or come up to that
Or like
fence.
set up a play date so that they know one another.
Yeah.
So that if it does happen, they're not trying to fight and all that.
Yeah, you don't want
I'm real
you
big
don't want to
on
be a meal.
dog play dates these days.
Yeah, I know. You want to go into your stories or what?
What?
Oh, that something happened on a play date. Sorry.
Oh no,
Oh,
no.
your
Simon's
face,
a
when your face
wonderful
got
play
serious
date.
there, I was like, okay. Ace and C to Mike, they are both my pets. The snake is a garden snake. He eats all the rodents around.
Ah,
You got a zoo going on there.
I know.
Wow, you got the rodents and the snakes and the dogs, and that's
Maybe
interesting.
you get a cat instead. Just saying. Like one of those feral cat colonies.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in my neighborhood you can have. Come pick them up.
Yeah.
They can get the rodents and whatnot.
Just come to ABC 15 and ask for Courtney. She'll bring it out. Zach says you don't put down either. They're all good, not good pets together. Keep them away from each other. Tess, all right. How about two dogs fighting? Do you have tips for getting them to stop? I had to rip them off each other, and it wasn't fun. Tess, I'm interested. Are they your dogs? I mean, were they? I said probably not. I would guess
Are
if they
these
were
neighborhood dogs?
neighborhood dogs that you saw, or was it your dog and another dog? Because I'd be interested in what was happening there, and try to get it. That's what we were hoping this attorney was going to be able to bring some of this more information to that. And if he didn't hear, we had an attorney lined up, and he bailed this morning. But in terms of tips of getting them off each other, maybe somebody else out there can answer that question for you, Tess, about the best way to do that.
Yeah, I haven't the slightest.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot
I mean,
of
if you have a
Caesar
hose
Milan.
nearby, which Caesar Milan, not
The
the
dog
dog.
whisperer.
He gave me the look, like down and
Like, how do you not know who
Yeah.
Caesar Milan is?
Caesar Milan. I don't know.
I tell you what, this
The
woman.
dog whisperer.
Where have you
I
been?
don't know Caesar Milan. Sorry.
Are you kidding me?
No.
You need to get up on that.
No, I only watch PBS.
Very informational,
Right.
educational. No, the woman that we're doing the story about today, bless her heart, she was, screaming and yelling and all that, and a neighbor came down and just got some huge boulders and just started throwing it at the dog.
She says, I was walking my dog to the mailbox, which is directly across from my house. Before I knew what was happening, two large pit bulls that were not on leashes charged us. I had my dog on a leash. I raised my arm up to protect myself and was bit and had a large puncture wound and very deep bruising on my arm. Before I knew what was happening, the two pit bulls had gotten a hold of my dog. One had a hold of his head. God, this is just horrible even to read.
It's awful.
And the other, his hind legs, and they were ripping him apart. I don't know how I got them off of him, but with the help of my neighbor, we did. And then it goes further into what she tried to do with animal control. That's a story we have on tonight about 6:15 on ABC 15. What she tried to do, how animal control played into that, what you can learn from some of those
Her
things
attempts
too.
to try and figure out who owned these dogs.
Yeah.
Because the county knew who owned them, and
Right.
she was
So
sent in various different places to find this out.
No fines were given to the owners for not having their dogs on leashes. No one was offered to pay the $1,000 plus vet hospital bill. Yet these dogs are still running loose, ready to attack again. You know, that's a crazy thing. I've driven through neighborhoods and seen dogs loose on the street. You know, like maybe even I was driving one through yesterday and I saw a guy hosing down his car, and he had a dog. You know, and it wasn't one of these little fluffy dogs. It was a big dog, walking just down the sidewalk a little bit, but probably like 50 feet from it. So I'm guessing he thinks he can control that dog.
Yeah.
But if my dog's walking by on the other side, I'm guessing that he's not going to be able to control his dog. You know, maybe. I don't know, but I don't want to take that chance.
The fact is,
Yeah.
they're animals.
Yeah.
And they're not humans. They are not, babies. They're
Yeah.
not toddlers. They are animals, and they're going to react with instinct.
Now, all right, one last story. I know you're probably bored with them already, but I had the story about Sedona the dog.
Sedona Ducey
That
story?
was the one where we got attacked almost in the park. But there's another one. We were in California, and we had this big flight of stairs, and my dog was named Scooby, not after Scooby-Doo, but she actually was a stray. We were taking scuba diving lessons, and she used to, the owner would let her sleep outside the door because she was homeless. And she would come into the scuba diving shop and sleep under our chairs so we took her home. Scuba.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's not Scooby-Doo, it's not that.
That's a good
Yeah,
story.
yeah. So anyway, we had her 20 years, but she was a part terrier and a part chow, and she was fierce, very protective but fierce. So she was at the top of the stairs and she could see out the front door, which we had closed. And there were once, we had, my wife, we had triplets, we had all these kids, she get busy. All of a sudden, the dog, down the thing, bam, opens the door, runs across the street. This poor guy's walking his dog.
How did she open the
And
door?
she just pounded through the door. It must not have been totally latched, and
my
ran through the
gosh.
door, down the steps, across the street before my wife knew it. And there is my dog trying to attack this poor guy and his dog on a leash across the street. Yeah, and so Kathy runs over there and grabs the dog. I mean, it's a horrible thing, but
Yeah.
it was an accident, and yeah, we would have been liable for it, and we would have paid whatever damages there were. We made sure that door was latched, but I started thinking about that. What is my liability here?
Yeah.
And the Arizona law, liability of dogs. Did I read that already? The owner of a dog which bites a person when the person is in or on a public place or lawfully in or a private place, including the property of the owner of the dog, is liable for damages suffered by the person bitten, regardless of the former viciousness of the dog. Okay, I read that already. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is one Arizona law where there is like no gray.
Yeah.
Very few laws in the state have no gray.
Yeah.
And they make it even more concise a little further down. Injury to any person or damage
When is
to
Kevin
any
getting here?
property by a dog while at large shall be the full responsibility of the dog owner or person responsible for the dog when the damages are inflicted. It's like one sentence, and it's really concise. So if your dog attacks someone and it wasn't provoked, you're liable.
Even if it's on if it's on your property, if it's on their property.
Even if it's on your property.
On the ongoing situation involving Ace and Sita and the dog biting the snake and the snake biting the dog, more clarification. He lives outside, the snake does. He kills all rodents that eat our vegetation. It's great. He's a good, nice snake, stays in the area. The dog usually doesn't trespass into his area. So, I'm interested in the story, Ace and Sita. Keep it going.
We got a lot of comments here.
Let's see, Alyssa. I would have to put this, we're all talking about the snake and the dog.
Yeah.
I would have to put the snake down because I don't want my dog to get bit by a snake. Jonathan, maybe you need a boundary fence. Okay, I have a cat already. So Ace and Cedar have a cat now. So they have a cat, a dog, a snake, and a rodent.
Many rodents.
Well, probably not many. But
Well,
now if you have a
rodents
kid
that
and a snake.
that the
Okay.
snake eats.
Yeah. But it's food for the snake. Becky Garner, do you read this one? Speaking of jumping the fence, I got a notice from animal control that my dog was jumping a block wall to the neighbors. My corgi can't even jump on the couch. Apparently it was someone else's dog doing this, enjoying my backyard. So animal control, what I'm interested in, Becky, is how you disproved that. What did they require you to do? Did they give you a citation, or just was it a little notice saying, hey, don't let it happen again? And because I'd be interested in what you'd say to them if they say they saw something. The corgi jumping over the wall is pretty funny.
What is a corgi?
It's just, well,
is it a little dog?
It's a smaller, well, yeah. The corgis have smaller feet or smaller legs too in terms of jumping. I think it would be.
Like the wiener dogs, kind of. The
What's
Dalmatians?
a dachshunds?
I thought they were. Oh, is it?
Aren't they dachshunds? I don't know.
Well, you know, they're spelled weird.
Yeah, we're the animal experts here. Courtney and Joe, we're here to talk about dachshunds. Other dogs, the wiener dogs. The only dog bite I ever had, I had a paper route when we used to deliver newspapers, and the dog was like this tiny little thing. I think it was like that, and it just had enough to get up and bite me in the knee. That was my big. I still have a little scar from the dog bite. Yeah. I'm gonna show you sometime. Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, David Olivo. What about a dog bite for people that work out in the field? Okay, so when you are bitten, I think that's something we should talk about. What happens when a dog bites you? I think it definitely
Shock
depends
first.
on where you are.
You go through all the stages.
Yes, all the stages.
Yeah, right.
But how severe it is, where you are, all of that. But you definitely want to let animal control know, because that starts the process of liability. Granted, at the beginning, you know, you're not going to, that's not necessarily your first thought, like, who's liable for this? But when you file a police report and all those things, which is what you need to do, you need to get this stuff on record, particularly if it's an animal who, you know, attacked you unprovoked. It's not like you went down to pet them or something, like they came at you. That's something that you need to have a police report, get animal control involved, and then that, why are you looking at me like that?
I saw it coming.
And then that starts the process.
Yeah.
And from there, depending on whether or not it's a vicious animal, you want to file a vicious animal petition. You need to get some liability established. Now, in a perfect world, the animal owner would, you know, come to you.
Well, that would be great, but that just doesn't happen.
I mean, that happened to me. My dog got a little crazy, and I ended up having to pay for it.
This is the dog that I had my hand in the fence just a little bit, you know, just trying to be nice, trying to say, hey, dog.
That was not smart at all doing that.
Yeah, I was in his territory. I know.
He was in a different area. He was in a different place around different people and kind of lost it. But I ended up paying for the damages for that because that's just, you know.
I wonder if your dog's on a list.
My dog is not on a list.
He's on a list.
But there are
control list.
a lot of people who just won't acknowledge that their animal did anything and won't pay for it, especially when there's money involved. You know, vet bills and hospital bills, depending on whether or not it is you who was attacked and all that.
Yeah. No, it's, I mean, you know, we're making fun of some of these situations, but these are horrible situations.
Absolutely.
In fact, the story I just read, you know,
Absolutely.
about that. Christina's talking, Christina Cabrera, thanks, Christina, for being here. Linda, Lily, you just described my neighbor. Let her dog just roam the neighborhood. She absolutely knows it. Another neighbor just asked if she could have it since it's matted and out in the heat. She had the audacity to say, no, it's her dog. I'm over it. Poor animal. I'm going to report her to animal control. See if she claims it then. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, you see these dogs going through the neighborhood, and you wonder who owns them or where they are. And there's Colin.
Well, I definitely think it's worth the reporting.
Oh my goodness, Courtney. Is it me, or are you looking more beautiful each Thursday? Lord have mercy. Yeah, Colin. You know what?
Oh, Colin.
Colin,
You're a
we
hoot.
love to see you here, Colin. All right.
We love that you check in here every Thursday, Colin.
Courtney
We
loves the
appreciate it.
fact that you check in here every Thursday.
So does Joe.
Yeah. Rosalva, you never comments about, you know, my grungy little look
I
here.
know.
Gotta do something about that.
And you're looking especially tan today.
It's all in the lighting, right? Rosalva Roca Ortega. Lord, please, crazy, under control. Yeah, I agree.
Tamara,
you read
have
out
you
the
read
field?
Tamara?
No.
Had a pit bull. Tamara Gilzine Small had a pit bull jump my fence. It was in my yard. Thankfully, my dogs and I were inside. Jump your fence? How high is your fence?
Right. Was it a small fence or, well, either way, it's a fence. I mean, you shouldn't be jumping a fence, but still, I would like to know just to kind of see.
And how did it get out? Did it jump back over, or did the owner come, or how did that go? I don't know what I do now.
This is an interesting case. Yeah,
Yeah.
Darian, I
Yep.
don't know. If someone comes in my yard trespassing and my dog bites them, I get in trouble?
Here's the thing.
I think you have to prove that, you know, I mean, if it's somebody coming for bad intent and my dog bites them, I don't keep my dog.
Wouldn't that be provocation? If
Yeah.
somebody is breaking into your home, breaking into your yard, I'm thinking that's provocation. And the law says that you are not liable if your dog is provoked.
Yeah, because here it is. The owner of a dog which bites a person when the person is in or on a public place or lawfully in or on a private place.
Lawfully being the key
Lawfully.
word.
So if you got somebody, you know, going to take your stuff, he's not lawfully. Now, if it's somebody you invited to a party, I guess, well,
Yeah.
you shouldn't trespassing here, though. So I would guess somebody didn't want there. Then I don't think that you're liable for that.
Didn't
But
invite them to your house.
including the property of the owner of the dog, it's liable for damages suffered. But yeah, in a public place or lawfully in or on a private place, lawfully.
Trespassing
I guess a person
is
could
not
say, "Oh, I
lawful.
made the wrong. I'm in the wrong yard. I'm sorry." You know,
You
that's
take
his
the-
defense.
That's the chance you take. Simon
Yeah.
is going to get you.
Yeah, what kind of dog do you have, too? I guess, Darren, that would be also the question. I can't imagine if there's a dog in somebody's yard of, you know, any size that anybody's going to take a chance to go in there, unless, you know, and then I guess water hose, Susan says. Joe Jacobson from Wyoming, good
Oh,
to
I
see
think
you.
that was to break up the dogs.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Fence isn't short at all. It just leapt over easily.
Wow.
Does your dog jump very high? Your dog?
Yes, he's very athletic.
Really?
Yeah, and he's super fast.
You sound very proud of that.
I am.
Yeah.
He
Why?
freaks me out. Like, well, he freaks me out when
Yeah.
he's like trying to get out. Like he'll hear other dogs, and I don't know, like they have like a call for one another or
Yeah.
something. Because different barks mean different things. Sometimes he'll be like, "Oh, da," and sometimes he'll be going nuts.
Yeah.
And when he's going nuts, he leaps out the door. He gallops like a horse.
Now, could he go over a 5-foot fence?
I think he could.
Really?
I think if he had a
How
good
big's your
enough head
fence?
start.
They're pretty high. You got 8
It's
foot.
like-
The gate?
It's like 6 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd stay away from Courtney's house. I'll give you her address later. Go ahead.
Don't play around. Simon will get you.
Okay, why, the back to the dog and the snake.
Yeah.
Why were they close enough? I don't know. Darren, that makes sense because police chased the guy and lost him. He got in my yard. My pit bull got a hold of his leg and the cops gave him a treat. Okay, yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
so the cops were on your side in that one.
Well, that's actually one of the specific exceptions for this law. If you won't be held liable if in the apprehension or holding of a suspect where the employee has a reasonable suspicion of the suspect's involvement in criminal activity,
So the dog actually helped in this
in the
case.
investigation of a crime, in the execution of a warrant, in defense of a peace officer. So if it's something like that, the law specifically allows for you not to be held liable if your animal is involved in that.
We also want to say, if you've been here the whole time, I've said it twice, we did have an attorney lined up that handles these kinds of cases to give you some more advice, and he had other things to do this morning, we just found out, so he's not here, and we apologize for that. Let's see, Renee Mobley, my mom's knew about his dog, which is a very mean dog, a little bit, just about everybody has come over here. Is there a time limit people can file against the dog owner?
Good question. So there's a couple
Okay.
that I've seen. 2 is the very max. 2 years is the very max for like personal injury and that sort of thing. But everything I read, like advice-wise, said that you need to file whatever you need to file so that there is strict liability within the year of the incident. So don't wait until 5 years later. Ooh,
Right.
this didn't heal right, or oh, I can't make
Well,
these.
the dog may
Don't
not be
wait.
around.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
So you want to do that as quickly as possible, but in order for there to be strict liability within the 1 year of the incident is when you want to file your claim.
There was a question about quarantine. How is this possible? I read something before about quarantine, right? 10 days the dog has to be quarantined if he bites,
Well,
but it could be quarantined
yeah.
in your house.
Well, I think that's determined by a judge. Here's in the case that we did, that we're doing tonight. the woman was attacked, and the dogs kind of came back around, and animal control picked the dogs up and held them
She's
for
lucky
10
they came
days.
back around.
Yeah.
This dogs could have taken off and never would have
Yeah.
known.
And they held them for 10 days, make sure they don't have rabies, and find out whether or not they're friendly, and all of what the issue could have been. One of these dogs was in heat, so that, I don't know, that could be a reason why. I have no idea, but they held the dogs for 10 days, and then the owners were able to come, pick them up, pay for their stay there, pay to have them fixed, because neither dog was fixed, pick them up, and move on with their lives.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're probably done here, aren't we? Isn't it about, I don't know if we have any more comments. I think tonight at 6 o'clock on ABC 15, we're going to tell you the story again of Mary and you know what happened with her just doing something innocently at her mailbox.
20
trying to
feet
get-
from her house.
20 feet from her house, had her dog on her leash, and these two stray dogs come up and just tear the dog apart. And then what animal control does, how much information they give you, what they don't give you. So, you know, they should be given, I think, all the information so you can take care of yourself, you know, as long as you know that these are the owners of the place. But anyway, so we'll be back next Thursday with something else, every Thursday here on Facebook Live, talking about consumer issues. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.